guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies, and we know they are really groovy.
Hello.
Hey.
Welcome to another episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal talking about movies. And today we're going to be talking about John Carpenter.
Is our gal here with us today?
Yes. Where's our gal?
I'm here. I almost wasn't here. I came in as a ghost earlier, and I was like totally incognito. But apparently, I'm back. So
right,
how embarrassing that we wore the same outfit.
It's
I got to bring mine down off the shoulders more.
You have to go like this, and I'll go more like a V, some kind of a V.
Then you can see my Tony Soprano T-shirt underneath.
Oh, I'm wearing a Tony Soprano bra. What are the chances? This is uncanny.
How you doing? How you doing?
Oh, we have the same glasses too.
I'm just in basic black.
Here's the problem.
Because we're freaking whores for movies. We're freaking whores.
But here's the problem: is that Manny's not going to be able to tell the difference between both of us for the show. So how's he going to know which?
Except that I don't have a blonde hair hat on. And
okay. Well, we could remedy that.
The rest of it, it's tough. And you're wearing lipstick.
Oh, okay. You have both of those things on hand, I'm sure, Rory. So.
And you have a background up.
And you're a disembodied. Well, you're not disembodied.
I'm just a disembodied head.
Yeah. Anyways, yes, John Carpenter, and I love all of these movies. I love so many of them, and yes, you guys called it. I'm the only one who knows what you guys listed, and let me tell you, they are totally different. You guys are so different. You guys were right that you would be different. So you have totally different tastes here. That's
what I said before we started the show. Is I think that our picks are going to be vastly different.
Mm-hmm. And they really are. Yeah. So this is going to be fascinating. So we have a lot to get through.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Manny, if you want to. Well, first of all, can someone just give us a quick overview of John Carpenter? What does John Carpenter mean overall? If you take him apart from just each solitary movie, what does that name conjure up in you guys' minds? I don't know how to say that.
Use guys.
Use guys. I am from New York.
What's it like to use guys?
What's right? Use guys. Hey.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind, guys?
Tell me what's on your mind.
All right. Rory, you want to go first?
Yeah.
Rory?
Yes, Rory.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first.
Go ahead. Dr. Rory.
I feel that he started out, obviously from some of his early shorts and stuff, he likes horror. He likes horror movies. Mm-hmm. He likes monster movies and horror movies and stuff like that. Kind of like Tim Burton, you know. He started doing some like action films and a little bit of sci-fi, and then a TV Elvis movie, out of the blue, But thank God they did that, because that's when he met Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell, is like his main guy in a lot of his earlier movies that made him famous. I do believe that Halloween was the turning point for him. That's when he's like, this is what I'm meant to do, because that was full on horror, with a twist. A lot of horror movies are like vampires and werewolves and the supernatural, but that was a real person killing people, and that started the whole slasher film era. Right. With Friday the 13th and that, and again, I mean, it's hatchets and ice picks and machetes, and
he's very dark.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, and again, this is when I think he realized it at that time. He created one of the scariest movies ever of the time, and there's absolutely no blood in it at all. It's all in your mind. Yeah. The violence is so well implied by his direction and the editing and everything, and the music. He creates a lot of the music for his movies. Yeah. And he gets his vision across the way he wanted it, and that made the superior movies that he made in the early stages, in the beginning. I think Hollywood just kind of became too involved in his later movies, and I mean, they're still good, but they're not as good as the first handful of movies that he threw out there.
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, but we were blown away, by what he did with the horror genre, and scared the pants off of us.
Manny, is that pretty much when you think John Carpenter, that's what you think of?
Pretty much so, yeah. I saw a quote from him when I was doing some research on IMDb about him, because I really didn't know much about his life. I knew him as a director and a writer and so on, but I wanted to know, who is John Carpenter? It's good that you asked that question. And there was a quote where he said, in Europe, I'm considered a filmmaker and an auteur, and in America, I'm considered a bum.
Right. He doesn't get that credit as being like an erudite, scholarly type. Yeah.
Right. He's
not a David Lynch.
No. And the unfortunate fact is that a lot of the movies that Rory and I are going to talk about were bombs. They were box office bombs. They did not do well, with maybe the exception of like Halloween and maybe a couple of others, but pretty much the ones that we consider to be his best movies, nobody else cared. They're more.
But they're cult classics.
Yeah, they're cult classics. And
I mean, any horror fan, any fan of sci-fi horror, the genres, the scary genres, yeah, they all know the movies that we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, and also I didn't know. I mean, I knew he had a son. His name is Cody, but I didn't know that he had the son with Adrienne Barbeau, who was one of his, one of the star of a couple of his movies. And I thought, ooh. So I knew he had a relationship with Deborah Hill, who was the producer on Halloween, but I didn't realize.
She's the producer on most of his early films.
Most of his movies, yeah.
Yeah, Escape from New York.
Right, yeah.
The Thing.
Yeah.
The Fog.
Yeah, so anywho. So just a little bit of personal trivia about John Carpenter.
We're going to talk about that one later, Greg.
Yeah.
Or as I like to refer to it, the weirdest freaking movie ever made.
Yeah. And actually,
Ghost of Mars.
We'll talk about that when we get to it. But so.
And I'll do my impression of the Martian ghost for you.
Hey. Yeah. And it's isn't it one of Ice-T's, one of his, was it Ice-T, isn't it?
Oh, jeez. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Yeah.
I know it's got like
I don't know. I think Natasha Henstridge from Species is in it, I believe.
Natasha Henstridge is in it. Wasn't it Jackie Jones or...
Yeah.
I think of Pam Grier.
Pam Grier, yes.
Give me a second.
But there's a guy who's now a star.
My phone is being temperamental with me.
Uh-oh. Oh.
I'm just going to pull it up directly. Ghosts of Mars.
Sorry I brought it up.
Yeah, Natasha Henstridge, Ice Cube, Pam Grier. It is one of the weirdest casts thrown together. Yeah. Jason Statham. I didn't even remember Jason Statham was in it.
Statham is in it. That's right.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Joanna Cassidy.
Yeah. Yes. Greg.
Yeah. It's just anyway. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Yeah. So
it's not on my top 5 list as an honorable mention, but it definitely deserves mentioning because it is just weird. Yeah. It is just out there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see.
So what's your number 1 pick? What's your first pick? I always go in chronological order. So.
Oh, okay. I nah, mine's just from my favorite to, you know,
To your fifth.
yeah.
Because I can't say least favorite.
No. I have to bring up my list because sometimes I forget what I wrote. But my at the top of my list is a movie that I consider to be, and I'm pretty sure Rory probably considers it to be, one of the greatest horror movies, sci-fi horror movies ever made. Certainly one of the best John Carpenter made, I think. And that's The Thing.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yep.
The Thing started off as a 1938 novella. Original title was Who Goes There by a science fiction writer named John W. Campbell. It was first made into a movie in 1951 under the title The Thing from Another World. And
wasn't that Howard Hawks too?
It was a Howard Hawks movie, yes.
Howard Hawks movie, yeah.
Who,
and James Arnaz, who was a very tall actor at the time.
Yes.
Peter Graves' brother.
Right.
Matt Dillon was the creature in that.
Right. He would go on to play Matt Dillon on Gunsmoke. And Hawks is one of Carpenter's favorite directors, apparently. Though he's better known for a lot of westerns. This is one of his entries into the sci-fi horror genre, and it's a good movie. But then in 1982, John Carpenter made his version, and it's actually a lot more faithful to the original story. But all three concern an alien menace, an alien presence on a research station in Antarctica.
Have you read the original story?
Oh yeah, yes.
Okay. Is it a shapeshifter?
Yes.
The alien. Okay, so it can make itself look like anybody. Okay.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah.
That was something they didn't do in the 51.
No. In the 50s, it was like a giant carrot. It was a vegetable thing.
It was just a giant thing, yeah. It was a thing from another world.
Right. So Carpenter's version, like I said, is much more faithful in that both are about a shape-shifting alien. The one difference, major difference, is in how the monster winds up on the base. In the original story, the crew, the people in the research station, they're the ones who find the thing in the ice. And in Carpenter's version, it's a Norwegian team that finds
right,
it. And it shifts into the form of a sled dog, which up in the American camp, and then horror ensues, horror and paranoia.
That scene where they put the dog in with the other dogs, and it starts to transform and absorb the other dogs into its being.
Yes.
Wow. I mean, what a mind blower that was for me as a teen when I first watched that film when it first came out.
Yes, me too.
And that sound with the cicadas.
Yes.
That sound that it made, when the tentacles are coming out of its split head.
Yes.
Oh man. It really, and we talked about John Carpenter likes to put his name on the beginnings of movies, like John Carpenter's Christine, John Carpenter's Halloween, John Carpenter's The Thing. He likes to do that. John Carpenter's Vampires, John Carpenter's The Grandmothers in Cars on, and getting coffee in the street. But this was really, you got to give this movie to Rob Bottin and his special effects crew, man. That they made this movie insanely crazy scary with the stuff that they came up with.
Yes, this is definitely should be Rob Bottin's The Thing.
The scene where they're strapped down and they're trying the blood with the hot needle, and the thing jumps out.
The special effects, for 1982, practical effects, pre-CGI, just awesome. Best special effects ever. You really get the feeling this thing is a real thing, a real monster.
The guy's chest opening up and eating the doctor's arms.
Yes, yeah.
And then the head pulls away from the body, goes upside down, legs spread out, and it walks away like a spider. And the guy looks at it and goes, "You gotta be fucking kidding me."
Yes.
Something like that.
And that's another, we got to mention the cast. Terrific. I mean, besides Kurt Russell.
Wonderful ensemble cast.
Wilford Brimley.
Mazur, Richard Dicehart.
Yeah.
Wilford Brimley.
Yeah. We're going to get diabetes from this creature.
Moffat. What is his first name?
Donald?
Donald Moffat. Yeah. Just unbelievable character actor cast.
Yeah. And
Keith David.
Who's going to figure in another movie later on. But yeah, just terrific movie. Terrific movie.
Agreed. It's in my top 5. There's no doubt.
It's absolutely a classic. Okay. So what's on top of your list?
Halloween. Halloween. I have to put that at the top of my list. I mean, it was his first real big hit, and again, it is a terrifying movie that started a whole genre of these mad slasher movies.
Right.
Groundhog Day,
Arbor Day,
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, all the seasonal horror movies. Friday the 13th,
April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day, yeah.
Friday the 13th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. There's even one called Happy Birthday to Me.
Yes.
And it got kind of ridiculous after a while, but yeah, Halloween. And like you said, there's no blood in it. I mean,
there's absolutely no blood in it. It's all implied, and it scares the hell out of you. Because you do see really brutal, savage, like murder happening. But again, no blood. You don't see it. Yeah. It's implied.
It's very implied.
But you don't see it.
Just like the shower scene in Psycho. You don't see any blood. But
if they hadn't had nudity in that, I think it would have got a PG rating.
Oh yeah. But and of course, we were introduced to another wonderful actress, Jamie Lee Curtis. Who went on to star in several other Carpenter movies.
And she went on to star in other people's slasher films.
Right. Yeah, she became the It Girl.
Terror Train and was it Prom Night 1 and 2?
Prom Night. Yes. Which had
3 and 4.
Horrible remake. Awful remake. I can't believe I actually paid money to see that. But anyway, Terror
$8
Train.
You ain't getting back.
Yeah, it's 2 hours of my life I'm never getting back.
I said that about the last couple of not Terminator. What's with the robots that turn into cars and then?
Oh, the Transformers.
The last couple of Transformers films. I was like, there's 2.5 hours. I'm never gonna get back.
Yeah, once we went from Shia LaBeouf to
Wahlberg. So anyway, I got this car, and it plays great music. It plays bitchin' music, and then it turns into a giant robot.
Exactly.
It's freaking awesome, man.
Anyway, getting back to Carpenter.
I gotta go. It's a prayer meeting, and then I gotta work out. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
My friend Michael Wilson does a much better impersonation of him, Mark Wahlberg. But yeah, Carpenter.
Halloween. Yep. Yeah.
I've got a feeling. Well, let's go ahead and get The Fog out of the way. Was it on your list?
Actually, no, it wasn't.
Okay, all right. I can understand that.
But this is your second on your list?
It is. It's because when I was, a teenager, we watched the hell out of this thing. I mean, we watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it and watched it. It's very simplistic, a very simplistic ghost movie. With again, a great cast that he threw together with Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis, Adrienne Barbeau, his wife. I'm not sure if she was his wife at that time, but they were getting there.
And of course, John Houseman.
Because that was 81. And John Houseman doing his ghost story at the beginning of the film. Cameo.
Yeah, right, yeah. Which, the first time I saw this movie, and then showing the watch, and all of a sudden he snaps it shut. That was a jump scare.
Yeah.
Dolby stereo, click.
Somebody in an interview, I remember watching Carpenter go off on an interviewer because they mentioned the Val Lewton scare in Cat People.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, I hear it all the time. John Lewton got a stare at the pool, yeah."
Yeah, the air brake.
It was like, how dare you compare him to me?
Right.
How dare you bring his name up in my interview?
Yeah.
But there were a lot of jump scares. There's actually a cat that jumps out at one point, I think, in that. And that happens quite a bit.
Isn't there always
Father Malone jumps out. Actually, Hal Holbrook scares Jamie Lee Curtis's mom, Janet Leigh.
Yeah. Speaking
and
of
again, Hal Holbrook.
Yeah, Hal Holbrook.
When have you seen Hal Holbrook in a horror movie?
Not very often, but yeah.
That was the second one on my list. So again, just got sentimental value to me. I mean, we watched the hell out of that because it was one of the first DVDs, or not DVD, VHS that I bought back in '81. I was one of the first kids in my neighborhood to get a video player. Imagine that. Mr. Movie.
Yeah.
That was my graduation present from high school. I already had a car. I bought my sister's car, a used car. Uh-huh. So my parents asked me what I wanted, and I told them I want a VHS. I want a VHS player.
Yeah.
It was a top loader, one of those old top loaders.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the Fog almost made my list. I mean, it was I got to tell you, this one was a toughie. The first three on my list were easy. I knew exactly what they were. It's the other two kept rotating and rotating right up to the moment where I sent the list to Renee, to our gal who's gone, who's in absentia at the moment. And that was a hint, Renee.
Renee, how do you feel about our top picks?
I love your top picks, okay, but they were just so different. You know what I mean? They're just, like I said, they're totally different. But you haven't gotten to the one yet that I'm going to obsess about. So you'll be seeing a lot of me soon. I'm not going to say which one it is. My favorite movie of all time, other than the other ones of
Spaceballs. Yeah,
Spaceballs is coming up. So I'm going to let you get there, and then you won't be able to get.
Okay, so
you won't be able to get rid of me.
So my second one is Escape from New York.
Okay.
Second collab with between Carpenter and Russell.
Okay.
Actually, the very first one was Elvis. You mentioned Elvis. I think it was they worked together as a TV movie.
But it's a TV movie, yeah, and it feels like a TV movie.
Right. Well, that's why I didn't.
That's why I didn't make my list.
Yeah,
interesting. The whole Snake Plissken thing. I like the character of Snake Plissken, but I'm not terribly crazy about those movies. They made honorable mention on my list.
Oh, okay.
So Escape from New York and I like Escape from LA better than I liked Escape from New York.
Really?
Which a lot of people are like, what? Really?
Yeah, well,
you had Donald Pleasance as the president in the first one, but I just really liked Peter Fonda in the second one, and I liked Bruce Campbell's cameo. I love that scene. That scene is pure Carpenter.
Yeah,
where they're harvesting body parts because they're crazy about plastic surgery. I love that scene. So that's why I edged out the other one.
Yeah, and of course a young Steve Buscemi is in it as well. The only problem that I have with Escape from LA, really liking it, is the fact that, to me, it's essentially a remake of Escape from New York. I mean, it's the exact same plot. And I really wanted to like it because I like the character of Snake Plissken, and I like Kurt Russell and John Carpenter, And so when I saw it, I have to admit, I was disappointed. I was really disappointed. The production values are better. It is a great
Van Cleef.
Huh?
I think you might have hit on something there. Maybe he was trying to make a better Escape from New York.
Well, actually, there was a
Because maybe he was disappointed that Escape from New York isn't what he really totally wanted it to be.
maybe so. I mean, there was actually another script that had been written, and it had a totally different plot. Uh, and I think it was actually like Escape from Las Vegas or something like that. Uh, but
That would have been good.
yeah, but neither Carpenter nor Russell really liked it. So they said,
Okay.
you know what, screw it. Let's just write our own script. And so they did, and it basically they remade Escape from New York. But yeah, maybe so. Maybe he was just disappointed in that one and said, hey,
Go with what you know works.
you know, yeah. But and excuse me, like you said about the fog, and I think that's one of the reasons why I picked Escape from New York as my second pick is that nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
This is one of the early movies that I saw from Carpenter as well, and just kind of like you feel about the fog, I feel about this one, and it also has Adrian Barbeau in it,
Yes.
and Harry Dean Stanton,
Yeah.
Ernest Borgnine, and
And everybody dies.
everybody died, and Donald Pleasant as the president. And oh my God, who played the King of New York? He was a famous musician. Did the theme from Shaft. Oh, why am I blanking out his name?
Oh hell.
Right? Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh.
Wasn't he chef too?
And he was chef, exactly. Oh my God. Oh.
Oh my God, this is killing me. The name's Quinn. It keeps popping up in my head, but I know that's not it.
No.
It's oh shit. Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes. Thank you.
Isaac Hayes.
Isaac Hayes. That's the Duke of New York. Yeah. I mean, he didn't have a major role in it. Well, no, it was a big role, but it wasn't like.
I haven't seen it in ages. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah,
I
but
haven't seen it in ages.
yeah.
But I remember when I saw it, I was just like, I like Snake Plissken, but
I need to go back. Need to reevaluate it.
I need to give it another go.
Give it another chance.
I bet the next one on our list is the same one.
Okay.
And that's Big Trouble in Little China.
It is. Yes. Yeah. It's just I just went down the line. All Kurt Russell.
All Kurt Russell films.
Big Trouble in Little China. Yes. Hey, David.
There he is.
You're here.
Yeah, this is probably the most fun Kurt Russell had on one of these movies, is my guess. He's doing some comedy. He's doing action. You know.
Yeah.
It's
really
delightful.
Real change of pace.
Let me pull up IMDb here.
Yeah.
Big Trouble, because there's a couple of Asian actors here. I don't want to get their names wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Dennis Dunn. Kim Cattrall is in it, by the way, from Sex and the City.
Right.
She had just come off of doing like the Police Academy, one of the Police Academy film, maybe the first one.
Yeah.
And
she's still doing comedy.
Mannequin.
Yeah.
She was doing Mannequin. She did Mannequin. And then I think she got in this one. And she was wonderful in it. James Hong, who's done like 1,000 movies.
Yes.
I actually met him right after he did this. At a convention, a comic book convention called Necronomicon. And it was a great guy, really wonderful guy. And around the same time, he had done McHale's Navy movie. And he was just very cool, very interesting guy. I was trying to get him to come on It's Casual, but I haven't been able to get a response from him. But Victor Wong is in it. Carter Wong plays the real big one. Peter Kwan was Rain. James Pax was Lightning. Susie Pye was the girl with the green eyes. Just had a wonderful cast of like people you know from like Hong Kung kung fu movies and stuff. I mean, he hired the right people to do the action in these films, and the gung fu action is just brutal.
Yeah. But yeah,
it's all about the girls with the green eyes.
The girls with the green eyes. Love the guy.
That's very good.
No fan. It's just so awesome. Yeah.
Oh, man.
How could this be a coincidence? 2 girls with green eyes? Awesome.
And again, it's a good story. It's a story, you know.
And Kurt Russell doing his best John Wayne impression.
There you go.
So when the chips are down, you just follow what old Jack says, you know.
This is Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express coming to you on a dark and stormy night. And the thunder's crashing and the rain's coming down. I used to know that whole monologue from the very beginning of the film. We memorized it, my friends and I.
Yeah. Have you paid your dues?
Yes, sir. The check is in the mail.
Yes. So anyway, Jack Burton.
So again, another great hero for another film by Carpenter, and it's Kurt Russell. So I think more than it's a great story. More than Snake Plissken, I'd love to see another Jack Burton movie, but I don't think that's going to happen. Probably won't happen. Yeah. I always thought it'd make a great TV show, Jack Burton and the Pork Chop Express, and delivering stuff to Chinatown and meeting in different kinds of weird things. Yeah. Anyway. Weirdness, yeah. All right. So that's our top 3 or 4? That's my top 3. Top 3. Okay. Number 4 on my list was They Live. Okay. It's Roddy Piper. It's got one of the most quotable lines from any movie, which is I came here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. And it's got a great antagonist in it. And the aliens have taken over, and they're mining us, or they're controlling us. Yeah, the yuppie aliens. Yeah. And Keith David. That's what I was going to mention. Keith David is back, and they have one of the longest and best fights in cinema history, and brilliantly parodied on South Park as well. But awesome. Now, and I wonder why Kurt Russell didn't do this one. I don't know. You got to wonder, because he had already done Plissken. He had already done MacReady in The Thing. He had already done. I think he had already done Big Trouble in Little China, right, before this was made. I think so. Yeah. So I guess he was doing something else at the time. He must have been obligated to do some other film or something. Maybe he was doing Soldier. Maybe so. But Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper was good in this. Wrestler. He was wrestler. Was it on your list? Yes. This is actually, that was number 5 on my list, but I think it was number 5 on mine too. I think I forgot one.
But this is the one I want to talk about because I am a lifetime Roddy Piper fan. Absolute obsessive fan. I mean, he's like one of my heroes. And I've seen him talk about that fight scene and talk about this movie so much. And yes, it's so quotable, and it has all these socio-political overtones, which you guys can talk about a little bit. Obey everywhere, and so a lot of subversive cultures have all over the world have taken on this movie as having some kind of political import or cultural import about people being enslaved by marketing. We talked about how marketing has taken over things, brainwashing, you name it. You can have this movie support some kind of propaganda, however you want to look at it. But yeah, that fight scene, and it was so cool because he, Roddy Piper, coming from the WWF, it was called WWF at that time. Right. They had to bring him in. They kept saying to him, don't be so theatrical. This, you can do it like a street fight. So that was really the only direction they had to give him. But he always said, well, I'm not an actor. Wrestlers, particularly back in the 80s, or when he came up in the 70s, they took it very seriously, and they were battered and bruised. And it's like, they really took umbrage with you calling it fake, because it's like, how is it fake when every bone in my body is being broken? I mean, my body is literally being broken. People are dying. It just depends what you mean by fake. But in that fight scene, like, they just padded things and they let
Staged.
them go at it, and it was just, well, the outcome being there, or some kind of a storyline being there. But are they athletes? Yes. Are they physically getting injured? Yes.
Yes.
That is absolutely true. Do they have brain damage?
Oh, they
yes.
used to.
Do they die of heart attacks? Yes.
Cut their foreheads with razor blades and let it heal for a couple of days, and then they go into the fight and they get hit in the forehead, and it just starts gushing blood again.
And it's also not impeccable. I mean, these guys, a lot of these guys are really big guys. They have to be like ballerinas, but even the best ballerina isn't going to have impeccable timing, and they get hurt. It is absolutely traumatizing for their bodies. And so anyways, he was really proud of that fight. And of course, it's iconic and everyone talks about it. And it does look really believable. And this goes back to the whole thing of Roddy Piper really saying, well, they made me into an actor, but I'm not really an actor. I try to really bring into that moment my passion and my authenticity. And he really did bring it. I mean, I know the movie looks cheesy. You know, it obviously looks kind of cheesy and all of that, just especially you look back at it now, like it looks, but there was such a grit involved there and such heart, where people are still talking about this movie. People still watch this movie. And a lot of that is Roddy Piper. I really don't think they could have had the success, because even though he was known as a heel and like a badass, there was something always so warm about him and so vulnerable about him. He was always so lovable and approachable, because people felt he was really authentic and had a big heart. And of course, in his personal life, he absolutely did. He was one of the most beautiful, humble, compassionate individuals ever. So I'm really proud of this movie, because I think it really did show his, maybe not acting because he doesn't like that word, but like his chops, his chops to bring a storyline to life, and to bring total passion, and to be convincing, and to be compelling in such a, not ridiculous, but I mean, it's a sci-fi plot, and there are parts of it that look kind of silly and stuff, you know, particularly now looking back. But he just brought that confidence, you know, the bubble gum. I'm not, you know, I'm all out of bubble gum. Which I think I think that was improv. I think he ad-libbed that. I think he ad-libbed that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
That awesome line was improv by Piper?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
So really, he made that movie.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, you know, the fact that he didn't get an Academy Award for Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Yes,
I was how corrupt Hollywood is.
It was because he was very sexy in that one too, with all the around the fire. And
I missed that one.
Oh, you didn't
Hell Comes to Frogtown. Oh, classic.
You know what? Why don't we do? We should do a big monster on that one. To be honest.
Oh yes. Yes.
We really should. And if Sergeant Havoc could be in that one, because it's
you're gonna get Manos Hands of Fate in a couple of weeks.
Yes. Oh, yes.
She's been waiting for it. She's wanted it. She's been waiting for it. And we're gonna get Troy Moore on the show for that.
Awesome.
Yes, I lobbied for that for like a year. I'm so proud.
God, so
we're gonna
bad.
do that one, and we're gonna do Hell Comes to Frogtown, because
yeah.
And I love the 80s look of, like, you know, what is it, like business in the front and party in the back. And a lot, you know. Anyways, yes. So I'm very excited that you guys put that. I would have put it first on my list, but that's just because I'm a crazy Roddy fan.
It almost didn't make my list. I forgot that Carpenter directed that. Yeah, and I went through the list of Carpenter films, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna have to take something off my list because I got to put They Live on the list."
Yeah,
the only one. Exclamation point. Sorry, Manny. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say the only one that came before. Well, my fourth pick was Christine, with the killer car.
Right.
And one of the reasons is because back in the 60s, may have been 70s, but I think it was the 60s when I was a little boy, we had a Plymouth Fury.
Oh.
Yellow and white.
Yeah.
And I remembered it distinctly because we had the fins and had the push button transmission and all that. And then for one reason or another we had to sell it, or we sold it. Parents sold it. So when I saw this movie, and well, I read the book. I read the Stephen King novel, and loved it. Great. And then I saw that John Carpenter is making a movie about it. It's like, oh, well, this is going to be awesome. And I went to, of course, went to see it. And I saw that car, and actually saw the car. I mean, I saw the description of it in the book, but to actually see it, I'm like, we had a Christine. Didn't kill anybody, but we actually owned Christine, and
it's a good movie, and it's a well-directed movie.
Yeah.
It really is. But I feel that's more of Stephen King's film than John Carpenter's Christine. That's the reason it didn't make my list.
Well,
it's definitely worth mentioning. It's a good film, but yeah, it did make my list because I just felt it was more Stephen King than it was John Carpenter.
Well, yeah, I see your point there, but I think as far as an adaptation, just like his adaptation of The Thing. He tried to keep it fairly faithful to the book. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that got left out and changed around, but for the most part, he followed the plot of the book pretty closely. But it was just, I think it was just, again, another sort of nostalgia factor of, oh yeah, we used to have a car like that, and also the effects. I think the effect again carried the movie for a large part. How the car gets crushed and then it rebuilds itself, and just the whole ghostly aspect of it. And it doesn't have a lot of his usual players in it. It has a slightly different cast. But I don't know. I enjoyed this movie, so I had to put it on my list.
I enjoyed it as well. We did a General Howitzer on it with Ruby Ray Moore, and we had a lot of fun talking about it. And again, Keith Gordon's performance in it was really good. I think that's all of our picks, isn't it?
Yeah,
we're into the honorable mentions now.
Honorable mentions. Yep.
Prince of Darkness was pretty out there.
Mm-hmm.
Again, an interesting ensemble cast he threw together for that.
Yeah. But again, Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance is in it. Alice Cooper plays the scowling man outside the church.
Yes, Alice
interesting
Cooper.
Cameo.
Yeah, and
Alice Cooper never looks so scary. And the whole thing where the devil's juice gets into people, they're spitting at each other.
Yeah.
And they become evil. That just kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
So it definitely deserves a mention.
Yeah. Well, for people who don't, if you don't know, this movie's about this group of scientists who discover this ancient cylinder inside this old church that I think is about to be demolished or something. For some reason, they're in there, and they find this cylinder and this old book, and presumably the devil is inside this thing, but it's like this weird greenish liquid, like Rory said, that escapes and takes over people, and there's like a time travel element also toward the end. I mean, it almost made my list. But there's another movie.
It was close.
It was close. Yeah. So what is that? Is that your only honorable mention?
No. I have a couple here. Out of the Mouth of Madness.
That's one of mine. Yes. Yes.
Very I haven't seen it in so long I can't remember much about it. I know that Sam Neill was in it.
Sam Neill.
Charlton Heston.
Yeah. Jürgen Prochnow.
Yeah.
As Sutter Kane. Yeah. Sort of Stephen King-ish author. Yeah. Although it's more very Lovecraftian. I mean, talk about Lovecraftian. It's
Lovecraft.
Very Lovecraft. Even though it's not one of his stories, the title and everything it feels like Lovecraft, and it's awesome. Yeah.
I got to give that one another look too, I guess.
Yeah.
All my friends at the time just thought it was the best when it came out. I know that. I remember a friend of mine dressing up as a character from that movie for Halloween that year.
That would be
They
a
had
good
a straight jacket on, and they had stuff written all over them.
that would be the double feature. That one and Prince of Darkness, I think, would be
Yeah,
very
I agree. Those are very similar
very
kind of
similar
movies,
theme.
where it's very dark, and I don't think they're happy endings.
Oh gosh, no. Oh, they're very, very bleak. Yeah,
Bleak picture.
yeah,
And I like happy endings. I like
yeah.
I like the good to be victorious at the end. That's probably why there's just honorable mentions. Another really happy-go-lucky movie is what we talked about earlier, The Ghosts of Mars.
Ghosts of
Oh,
Mars.
wait a minute. Before we do that, let's talk about vampires. With
Fires.
James Woods. This is
Yeah,
really a very tongue-in-cheek, almost camp vampire film.
yeah.
With Valak, the very first vampire, and the vampires are biting women on their thighs or within their thighs. It's kind of a crazy film. The vampires and the vampire hunters get to the point where it's just like, I guess we're gonna have to let a couple of them get away, and you wonder what's gonna happen. But it's not Alec Baldwin, it's not it's Adam Baldwin, right?
Adam Baldwin, yes.
Adam Baldwin, who also almost lost the lead role in the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. Casting director, he said, I want to do this movie, and they were like, well, we don't think you're right for the part. The director was like, what are you, nuts? You turned away Adam Baldwin?
Right.
In any case, Vampires is definitely worth a watch. It's an interesting film. There's a lot of really bizarre, fun stuff going on in that film, vampire wise.
Yeah.
But The Ghosts of Mars. Okay, Renee, pop it back up there. The Ghost of Mars. Okay, I promised I was going to do the impersonation of the ghost, the Mars ghost. Okay, that's it.
Perfect. Yeah. Actually, Ghost of Mars was originally going to be a sequel to. It was going to be another Snake Plissken movie. Snake Plissken Goes to Mars.
Funny.
But for one reason or another,
Kurt Russell turned that down. Really?
Kurt Russell turned it down. Yeah, or something happened, and so they wound up changing the script and became Ghost of Mars, and Ice Cube took the part of that would have gone to Kurt Russell, I guess.
And again, Ice Cube came in for the second Triple X movie, right? Didn't he?
Yes.
When they couldn't get Vin Diesel to come back.
Vin Diesel, yeah. Oh, and there's a movie we haven't mentioned, and it's probably people don't even know that it's a John Carpenter movie. It's Starman with. Jeff Bridges. And Karen Allen.
Karen Allen. Yeah.
Which also was a TV show. They made a TV series out of that one.
Yeah.
I want to say it was Robert Hayes was in that, but I might be wrong. But
I think you're right.
But yeah, from Airplane.
And the movie is very good. Bridges' performance alone is just wonderful in that.
Great, yeah.
As the alien,
it's
trying to be
one of
human
Carpenter's
and cope with humanity.
Yeah, it's not. It's like that was like pure sci-fi. There's no really horror element to it.
No.
But
other than them chasing him.
Yeah.
It's more of an ET kind of thing.
More of an ET, exactly. Kind of a ET meets the Fugitive sort of a thing.
But with Ghosts in Mars, the Mars colony, they're all possessed by these ghosts of these aliens that were trapped on Mars,
right?
Because they're excavating there, and they're throwing buzzsaws and stuff at people, slinging as weapons, and they've broken their teeth and sharpened their teeth so that they're sharp, and they've made cuts and stuff all over their body, and it's just really weird.
Yeah.
It's just really insanely weird.
A lot of decapitations.
And for some reason, everybody can breathe on Mars. I can't remember what the deal was with that, but
I think they said they had terraformed
it or something. I missed that line, maybe. I'm like, hey, everybody's breathing here. What the hell's going on? No problem. No masks.
Or I think that's why. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I may be misremembering that. Maybe they just said, people can breathe on Mars. Nobody's going to take this seriously anyway. So
very weird, but very watchable.
weird,
And unlike his earlier stuff, yeah, it's pretty graphic. It's pretty gory.
Yeah,
So what are we going to do next time? Or do we go with the director thing again and do a Robert Altman or a Steven Spielberg? Or
I was thinking we could do. We talked about this on another episode. Why don't we do film composers?
Okay, all right.
Let's talk about
our favorite film composers. That sounds good.
Composer.
La música, la música.
Sí, la música de los.
La música. Todos dead.
Yeah,
that was Daryl Igus, who we talked about last week.
What?
Or we talked about on The Fog. Daryl Igus did this little bit part in The Fog, and he was on Fridays, and that was one of the characters he did.
Yeah.
La música, la música.
Yeah, yes. La música de los Rolling Stones.
Do we smoke it? Yeah. He did that one too.
Oh yeah, the Ganja Man.
Yeah. Ganja Man. Yeah. All right, very good. Then we'll talk about composers next time. Renee.
And their best, what we consider their best theme or whatever.
Is our gal here?
Yes, that sounds wonderful. I'm excited about that. I wonder how much diversity there's going to be next week for you guys. I like when there's diversity because then I get to see it. It's like, you get a chance to be authentic in your own personalities and see why you guys gravitate to what you guys gravitate to. I find it interesting.
This was pretty diverse.
Yeah, this was about as diverse as it gets. Yeah. Oh, that's a TikTok. Don't you worry. I've already.
There you go.
I love that so much, but when you watch it back, the best part is Manny's reaction, like while you're doing it, because Manny sees that he's on screen and he's like he's like, "What do I do? What do I do?" Yeah, you were like,
a weird thing.
Why is this man doing this really weird thing? When will it end? No,
and that's so how you feel when he does it in the movie too.
What the hell is he doing?
Why is it? Oh, you see, he got a phone call. This is what happens if you don't put your iPhone on Do Not Disturb.
That's right. Yeah.
He will be right back.
Weird. Weird Martian.
I will say, while we're waiting for him to come back, I was looking at more They Live trivia. And the fight scene took 3 weeks. I'm just talking about more They Lives. Sorry, Rory.
Sorry, that's my daughter's calling. I have to go pick her up from work.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, go now, and then I will. Let me just say this about They Live, and then we'll wrap. Is that okay?
That's fine. You guys wrap up the show. I'm sorry I have to leave early.
That's okay. It's okay. Bye, Rory.
Bye.
Okay, so I'll just say this very quickly. So it took 3 weeks, and they rehearsed it and actually choreographed the whole thing for that 3 weeks in John Carpenter's backyard. And then they just let him go at it. And it was supposed to only be like a very, very short thing. But when John Carpenter saw what they did with it, he was like, I don't want to cut any of it. It's so good. And it's cool because Keith, the other actor, and then Roddy, they said, okay, we're not going to do real groin shots or face shots, of course, but everything else, we're going to actually fight. Like, we're actually going to tear each other up. And they did. They actually duked it out like real street fighters. And I thought that was like so cool too. And the other bit of trivia that I thought was interesting was there is a scene about a homeless shelter, and I guess the police or whatever, they go in and they mess with the homeless people and all that. And Roddy was saying that was really traumatizing for him because when he was young, he used to live in and out of like homeless shelters, and that's how he got into wrestling. So it actually brought up like a lot of trauma for him. And he's also such a kind-hearted guy that and there also was an interesting thing where John Carpenter integrated the actual homeless population into the movie and paid them with food and stuff like that, and brought them in as extras. And Roddy thought that was like a really great thing. So apparently it was good for that local community. And I know that Robin Williams was also noted for that. He would always lobby to get locals involved and act like people. If you're going to have homeless, quote unquote, people, you should have them played by actual people, as opposed to just people maybe doing a caricature or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
So just little tidbits in there. Sorry, guys, I had to just finish now that
No,
now
that's
that I had
cool.
started.
That's
Okay.
great. Yeah. Yeah. It shakes the clown. Yes. Yes, I have seen Shakes the Clown.
I have not seen Shakes the Clown.
With,
What is that?
Bobcat Goldthwait
Oh
plays
my gosh, I love
plays a,
him.
he plays a clown,
What? How did
and
I miss this?
he's just this real bitter, just a nasty guy.
Really?
And but it's great because there's like different levels of
Mm-hmm.
clowning, and one group hates the other group. Like
Mm-hmm.
all the rodeo clowns think the other clowns are just wimps, and they think they're badass, because they're rodeo clowns, and
Right.
everybody hates the mimes.
I'm
And
terrified of mimes, so yeah.
Robin Williams has a little cameo as like a mime teacher
Oh
in this
my
movie. So
gosh.
credited.
That
Uh,
is so funny.
so yeah, if you ever get a chance, watch Shakes the Clown if
I
you're a
do want to watch it. It's supposed to be funny.
Bobcat.
It's an
Yeah,
actual comedy. Okay.
it's kind of a dark comedy. It has its funny moments, but there's some darkness to it as well.
Well, I love Bobcat so much, and did you ever see Death to Smoochie with Robin Williams?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was like really dark and just like not in a great way. And it was kind of like disturbing. Everyone always talks about that one, like missed the mark. So, but I want to watch Bobcat. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I think you'd
Did
like
you
that.
see Hot to Trot, by the way? The Bobcat movie Hot to Trot, where he plays the voice of the horse. Or he plays, no, he
Um,
doesn't play the voice of the
no.
horse. He plays a racehorse, though, or he is the jockey. Someone remind me. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with it. Anyways, I could talk about Bobcat.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but no, I never saw it.
I don't think it's absolutely worth it. So, but we are going to get Hell Comes to Frogtown for Big Monster. So don't let us forget that.
No.
I'm going to go back and watch it again. Everybody, if you're out
Hell
there,
Comes to Frogtown.
it's so great. It's just so bad.
I just had to throw that in there because you're talking.
I know. I
Rodney
forgot
Piper.
about it. And you said it so like so flatly too. You were like, "Well, like, he should have gotten an Academy Award for that." And it's great too because that's one of the ones that like Roddy knew it sucked, and it's so funny. So he would like talk about that. He'd be like, "Yeah, like I make shitty movies. Like it's fine." Like he would talk about it openly. I thought it was like so funny that he knows.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Actors always know. Actors always know.
You know,
Okay,
there's
well,
an actress. Talking about They Live. There's an actress, and I forget her name. Great actress, and she has these like those blue eyes, but they're like almost clear. And
interesting.
and they kept asking her. People would ask her, "It's like, how did they do that? Was it like an effect?" And it's like, "Oh, those are my
Those
eyes.
are my actual
Those are my
eyes.
natural eyes."
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I love that. I love when I see people who have like totally unique features, And I've noticed that Hollywood is casting that a lot more. They're casting really unique looks, which is so great. Like it's a new sort of trend that I've noticed. Usually, even people that I'm like, "Whoa, why did you choose that?" And then several like
Yeah.
episodes in, you're like, "Oh, okay, now it's memorable." There was a good long period of Hollywood where people the actors that were getting cast all looked almost identical, and it was so
Mhm.
hard to even tell them apart. It's just
Right.
type.
Exactly.
So I love when they go out of type a little bit, and I love when an actress or an actor has a little flaw, quote unquote, and it makes them more attractive, I think, or more mesmerizing.
I love watching. I love watching foreign dramas like on Netflix when they have like
Oh
foreign
yeah.
talk shows and things like that,
Me too.
like from the French or Germans or whatever,
Yes.
because the casting
It's
or
very different.
Swedish, it's very, they don't go for the handsome, pretty
No.
guy. It's always, and it makes it that much more realistic. It's like,
Yeah.
I believe this guy's a cop. I believe he's not some pretty boy pretending to be a cop.
Yep.
And it just grounds the story so much better. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
love the it's so great. Even recently, people used to talk about that in the 70s and 80s or whatever, but it's true. Sometimes I'll see clips of TV shows or movies from abroad,
mhm.
and I'll think that's not famous or there's no way that would be popular because everyone on screen doesn't look attractive, and like I'm still in this American mindset, and then you find out it's like number one in Europe or whatever.
Yeah,
And there is a cop show, and I don't know if it's Britain or whatever, but there is a cop show now where they all, to me, by the American standard, and it just shows how far like America has really gone, where everything has to be polished and perfect and AI. Nothing is even real anymore. So like our
Mhm.
beauty standards are getting weirder and weirder, where they're not even
Yeah,
human anymore.
right. Yeah.
So I love that Europe is. I feel like there's almost a backlash on that as
Yeah.
well, and I like that, and I like how
Well,
the casting is
yeah.
is
Well, I
going
think
there.
part of it too is that they probably don't have the kind of budgets that American TV shows have
They
that they
don't,
go at
yeah,
'em.
they don't.
They're probably a little lower,
Hmm.
and so they have to use real locations,
Hmm.
and so it gives it a much grittier, a much more realistic,
Yes,
almost documentary feel to them. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
and and also they're willing to go to places that American TV shows would never touch. Real dark stuff.
Very,
Maybe
yeah.
except maybe like a David Lynch,
Hmm. Yeah.
or like maybe on an HBO show. But for network TV, oh no, it's
Hmm.
all got to be tied up neatly in a bow at the end.
Yeah.
And like I said, pretty people. But the Europeans, holy cow,
They don't. They
they go
don't.
for the darkness. They go for the gut.
They really do. That's why there's a lot of death metal coming out of parts
Oh,
of Europe. Europe
have you
does,
seen? So
yeah.
have you seen Ginger yet? Have you
Yes, I did. Oh my
what do
gosh,
you
I don't
think?
even know how she makes those noises, those
Right?
sounds. And
Yeah,
I recommended her to Jamie because Jamie is real. Jamie Bennett, she's
yeah,
really into that type of music. So I'm hoping that Jamie will watch it. Yeah.
yeah.
But I was gonna say, like Europe, like whenever you meet somebody who's directly from Europe, one of their communication styles is to be very open about things that you in America we're very uptight about or we wouldn't share about. um, you could just be in an airport and like a German lady or a Dutch lady will just walk up to you and start telling you her life or how she's feeling or how her health is or how her stomach feels. And you're just like, whoa. Um,
TFI.
why are you doing that? I'm not your
Right,
best
yeah,
friend.
yeah. We have
And
this very about social.
yeah, they're like very,
Yeah,
very social. And then the next level is to be existential and philosophic at the same time that they're being pragmatic and practical. So, like, you could just be sitting there and a French person, like, this will happen. Like, in the middle of them talking about, like, the bus being late, they'll talk about what is the essence of time and what is, it's like,
what does it
they're just,
mean to be
what
late?
does it mean? And they're all just very philosophical and emotional. They're not ashamed of their emotions. If they're feeling something,
Yeah,
they'll say it without being, in America. And then it always reminds me how America has all these levels of neuroses that have just been hammered into us. Like, you're supposed to be ashamed all the time and your body's
right.
ugly and sex is bad. And it's like everything about your
Well,
natural life is
it's that
bad.
Puritan,
Yeah.
sort
The
of,
puritanical.
yeah, filter down. Yeah,
Yeah, but we have to remember the rest of the world is looking at us like so weirded out. Like, why are you like, what is wrong with you people? You guys are all very mentally unstable,
very
really.
uptight.
Yeah,
Americans
yeah.
tend to be very uptight about
Very,
something.
very uptight and not healthy at all. It's kind
Yeah,
of so it's always very refreshing. That's why I like watching those type of movies too. And I usually don't even remember the names, but sometimes I'll just go on these binges of like Norwegian movies or even Iranian movies from like the
yeah,
80s and like
yeah.
it just these and you're right, there's not like a lot that happens on the surface sometimes, and they don't have like a great budget often to do a lot of action, but a lot of it's philosophical and introspective and a lot of it's psychological, and they
Mhm.
take you on these dark journeys of the human mind and the psyche, and it's very great stuff. I love it, and I like watching them at night too.
Oh yeah.
You gotta watch them at night when everything's
Night,
like really
lights are off.
quiet.
You start
Yeah,
hearing weird noises. You're like, oh well, yeah.
you're like that. That's
Murder
obviously.
here.
I love it. Okay, guys, we gotta go because Manny and I would literally. We should do a show like this where we just like talk about shit that's on our mind. I think that
Yeah,
would be so. We
yeah.
should.
You
David was
should.
asking us that,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, yeah.
let's put something like that together at some point. Okay, thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Next
Thank
week,
you. Next
and
week,
then Thursday is. Do you know what big monster we're doing Thursday?
uh, they're doing the Mummy with
Oh, it's the Mummy.
Fraser.
Okay,
It's the Mummy.
Mummy on Thursday.
Mummy
Thank
on
you,
Thursday.
Lorraine. All right,
Thank
bye,
you.
everybody. See you
See you
later.
next week.